These are the top 22 lessons that I learned in 2022 when scaling my company, Grateful Company, alongside my business partners, amazing staff, and all of that stuff. This is what we've done to earn over $20 million in this year. We started the business back in March 2022, and by the time this video releases in December, we will have crossed the $20 million mark in just 9 short months. And I want to tell you guys and share with you guys some of the best lessons that I've learned along the way. Lesson number one is simple, but it is you can always learn. And ego prevents people from leveling up because there's always another level. And I say that because at the time of this recording, I'm coming back from a mastermind. And at that mastermind, we're surrounded by, hundreds of other people who are earning and their businesses are doing anywhere between $1 million, 5 million, 10 million, 20, 30, $50 million a year. And for so many of these people, especially men who are in their 30s and their 20s and their 40s, they carry a lot of ego with them and it prevents them from learning. They stop asking questions. They think they're the hot shit. They don't really want to go meet other people in the room because they think they are the people to meet in the room. And it prevents them from learning. And ultimately, it prevents them from growing. Don't be that person. Number two, tough seasons in business and life in general. It doesn't matter what you do, but tough seasons, they can be enjoyable. If you gain perspective and grow along the way, the impact that a tough season can have on your life can be incredible because you're going to learn so many things and different ways to navigate problems in the future that you would have never learned if you had not gone through that season. So if you're going through a tough season right now, have the perspective to know that A, it will end, and B, you actually need this season in order to elevate and go to the next level. So if you have that perspective, it makes the tough season a little bit more enjoyable, a little bit less miserable along the way. Okay, lesson number three is that you can only control the good that you deposit into people, right? They will come and they will go, especially as a leader. Like if you run an organization, if you run a company, hell, if you're a person who's just like good with people in general, people will come and go out of your life. And your job is to not hang on to them or let go of them, but more so to just make sure that you are doing right by them and actually delivering a positive impact, because that is your job as a leader, no matter what. People in your sales org, they will come, they will go, but at the end of the day, it is your job to make sure that you are doing good by them. And as long as you work on the deposits end, right? As long as you work on being positive, making sure that they leave with more than they come, that is your only job. And that's the only thing that you can really control anyway. Number four, hard workouts don't make up for a poor diet, just like personal development doesn't make up for lack of production. You cannot fill one hole in your life by digging another hole and filling that dirt in the empty hole, right? Because all you're doing is leaving another hole to be filled. And so many people, including myself in the past, and you can just like use examples from all over your life. But like when it comes to fitness is really easy to correlate because so many people eat really poorly, but they go to the gym every day and they're like, damn, why aren't I changing? Why aren't I losing body fat? Why aren't I losing weight? Why aren't I gaining weight? And it's like, dude, it's because you're doing one half of the equation. And it's the same thing in personal development and action taking and production. It's like, just because you're listening to podcasts, just because you're watching YouTube videos, just because you're studying does not mean that you're actually making progression, because same thing in the fitness world. What needs to complement the side that is you consistently learning new tactics, skill sets, mindsets, etc., on the personal development side is the action that you're taking and the production that you are having on the actual field. Do not forget that production is the actual metric that will gauge your income. Okay, it's not the learning component, it is the production component. It is the hustle component. Lesson number five, real fulfillment comes from the internal, not the external. Fuck what other people think. Fuck their goals. Fuck what they tell you that you should do in your life. Focus on how you feel and make sure that you're fulfilled in following your passions and ultimately what you believe is your life calling. Number six, the bigger the goal, the more difficult the path. Okay? Don't expect an easy ride to the top. The reason why most people quit is because they set big, audacious goals and they do not understand what it's actually going to take to get there. So when they meet the resistance, they stop because they're like, damn, I thought this was going to be easy. And it's not. It just isn't. And the bigger your goal is, the more obstacles you're likely to face along the way. It's not an easy ride. Lesson number seven, speed is king. The faster that you can make iterations to the things that you're doing and changes, the quicker you can make the timeline to get from here to the point that you want to be, to get from now until the goal that you want to achieve. Speed is king. You have to be able to make quick adjustments in meaningful moments in the realm of business. Okay. Number 8, hard and fulfilling work is the name of the game. For me, I feel the most alive and I feel the most happy and fulfilled when I'm pursuing something meaningful. I'm working hard. I'm going to bed, leaving it all on the field. I know that today was a productive day. I've left it all out there. That is when I'm feeling the best. It's not on the days where I'm just like chilling and not really paying attention to much and pretending like any problems and things that I'm dealing with in my personal life or my business, they don't exist, right? So many people spend so much of their time trying to escape the problems that they have in their life instead of facing them. And when it comes to facing them, many times you just have to be willing to work through them, to take the first step so that you can take the second step. And eventually that problem turns into a lesson. It turns into something that you are using for fuel instead of something that's taking fuel from you. And you can totally flip the equation on its head. Number 9, consistent reminders to myself, like literally daily. I try to remind myself multiple times a day that I get to do this work. I don't have to. I could go pick up a job down the street at the grocery store. I can go pick up an office job doing, numbers, accounting, whatever, just like some basic ass shit, just like you, right? You don't have to go knock the doors. You don't have to do the sales stuff. You don't have to build the business. You don't have to do anything. You get to do these things. And at the end of the day, it's your choice. And because it is your choice, you are in control. And because you are in control, you should not complain about shit because you could change it if you wanted. But the thing is it's that disillusionment that we were talking about in point number 8. It's like people set these audacious goals, these big goals for themselves. And along the way, they expect it to be easy, problemless. And it's not that way. And during this time, one of the best ways to keep perspective is to remind yourself, hey, I'm choosing to do this. So let's just get through it. Lesson number 10, unhappy people, they focus on tearing others down. They always want to tear people down. They always want to bring people down to their level. They always want to be pessimistic. They always want to talk about the world crumbling around them. Happy people, they just keep moving. It is what it is. We're moving along, baby. Okay. Lesson number 11, your personal boundaries should reflect in your work. If you don't respect yourself, other people won't. Okay. One big lesson that I learned this year is on Sundays, I take the whole day off. I don't do any work. I try not to read any text messages or threads or emails or anything like that. But I didn't relay that to my team this year. And many times this year, I had, my sales reps reaching out to me on a Sunday for something that they'd like to see done by like Monday or Tuesday. And it's ridiculous. And it's put a lot of strain and stress on me. And it's taken a day that was meant for relaxation and recovery and turned that into a day of stress. And it was my fault because I didn't put those personal boundaries up. And when I did, it solved a lot of that stress. And the things that were going to get done on Monday still got done on Monday anyway. Except this time I got my Sunday of peace. Okay. You need to set up personal boundaries in your life that encompass the world of business, that overlap into your business as well. Because at the end of the day, ultimately, you are a person and you are not separate from your business. You are intertwined. And if you are not optimized, you will not be able to work in an optimal fashion. Respect yourself or others won't. Number 12, on days in which you cannot move mountains, just move rocks. On days where you can't move mountains, just move rocks. Sometimes you feel unstoppable and you feel like you can move the world and make a million things happen and get big shit done. And that is an amazing feeling. And I want you to continue to press towards achieving more of those feelings. But there are more days than not where you can't move the big mountain. You're not going to get the crazy, overwhelming, big thing that moves the business forward in a big, momentous way. Most days consist of just moving the little rocks forward. Don't forget that. Lesson number 13, setbacks can either be curses or blessings, depending on your perspective. Every setback that we've had this year, one of my main mantras is, well, thank God we're learning this right now, instead of a year from now or 3 years from now, when the repercussions, the negative repercussions from this mistake would be 100 times bigger. They'd affect 100 times more people. Let's take this lesson on the chin now. Let's learn from it and make sure it never happens again. Setbacks and lessons, hardships, they can either be curses or blessings. It depends on your perspective. If you view them as curses, as most people do, you'll be like, damn, woe is me. The world is against me. But if you view them as blessings, it'll shift that. It'll turn that setback. It'll turn that loss into a lesson. It'll empower you moving forward. Okay. Number 14, if you feel frustrated at a person, at a situation, whatever it may be, try taking 5 deep breaths before responding to the situation. 5 deep breaths, because it is much better to respond than it is to react. Lesson number 15. Work is often the best cure for anxiety. Stagnation creates worry. Work frees you from it. In the moments in which I catch myself feeling the most anxious or nervous about what's going on in business, and here's kind of what I've learned, at least personally for me, is the more that we continue to achieve, the more pressure I am feeling, but the better I am getting at dealing with that pressure. It's just like weightlifting. Like your first day in the gym ever lifting weights, squatting 135 pounds is going to feel like squatting the world. It's going to feel impossible. But maybe when you're, a year, 2 years into it, it's going to feel like that's like, yeah, I do that for 20 and that's my warm up before I actually lift. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of how it works in the business sense as well. And the cool part about it is when you're feeling stress and anxiety, you can actually get out of that mode a lot quicker by just getting to work, because typically stagnation is the reason why you're feeling like it. When you feel like you can't actually make a change to the situation or circumstance, that is when anxiety and pressure mounts. But when you actually make progress on solving it, on making it better, that is when it is relieved. Okay. Lesson number 16. There's a balance to be found between letting go of what you cannot control and taking all out action on what you can. There's a balance. You got to let go of what you can't control, the outcomes that you cannot control. You cannot try to micromanage those things like you do in other ways of your life, that I do in other ways of my life, because ultimately it'll just lead to letdown, and it'll create a pattern, a wavelength in your brain, which is untrue. And that wavelength is this. It's like, damn, I did everything in my power to control that situation. I still ended up with the short end of the stick. I guess I suck. And that's not true, because you weren't in control of that situation to begin with. You need to hyper focus and dial in to the things that you can control and take all out action on that, and just put aside the things that you can't control. And whatever the outcome is, it is what it is. You'll be fine. Lesson number 17, proximity is power. The room that you're in matters. The people that you're around matter. If you're surrounded by people who are pessimistic, not goal-oriented, not moving forward in life, not working out, not listening to audiobooks, not watching YouTube, not listening to, listening to podcasts, not reading, not improving, it's going to be really tough for you to improve. And the worst part about that is typically the people who are not making strides in their personal development don't want you to either. They'll try to make fun of you for it. Oh, yeah, there you are, reading the personal development stuff again, huh? Oh, there you are, trying to just, you're watching the fucking Hormozy videos again, aren't you? And it's like, dude, yeah, because I'm trying to get better. Duh. Don't surround yourself with those people. Easier said than done. A lot of them are family. A lot of them are friends. Compartmentalize. Understand that the people that you hang out with the most are going to affect your mentality. They're going to affect your tenacity. And you want to be surrounded by people who are conducive to moving you towards your future, not keeping you hung up in your past. Number 18, communication is often the crux of a job well done. Your job as a leader is to ensure that all parties are rowing in the same direction. Okay. Communication is a big component of that. And what I found is the best leaders are often the best communicators. And communication is something that's a skill set that takes time to develop. And often it takes years to develop it. But here is just the gist of this lesson, without diving in too much, is that your communication should be in that when you share something with someone, when you text someone, when you write an email to someone, it has so much detail, it has so much instruction, there's so much clarity around it. They shouldn't have to come back to you and ask you questions, okay? They should have clarity on what is to be done, what is their role, and be able to move forward. And if they don't, you're not communicating well enough. Number 19, feeling empowered and in control stem from you being able to move the ball forward through your work. I feel the most power and I feel in the most control when the actions that I'm taking can directly be reflected in the business moving forward. But situations in which you can see the potential upside, you can see the potential negative repercussions of things going wrong, but you lack the ability to control and influence the outcome. Nothing that you do can make it either go good or bad. This is when anxiety and stress take over. You feel like you're on a roller coaster ride. You don't really know where it's going, and you don't really get a say in where it's going either. Being empowered and feeling in control, it stems from you moving the ball forward through your work. Don't avoid the work, because to avoid the work is to avoid the control. Number 20, have more fun. One of my metrics in 2023 that I'm going to literally keep track of every day is, am I having fun? Whether that be reframing how I do things in the day-to-day of my work, integrating more of my hobbies into my schedule. Don't postpone fun until you make it. Don't postpone those vacations until you make it, because one day you might die and you might not ever do the things that you've postponed. So many people wait until they're 60 years old to finally live the good life. And by then, a lot of people don't even make it to 60. A lot of people get to 60 and their health ailments are so bad that they can't do the shit that they could have done when they were 30. Do all that shit today. And you might not be able to do it at scale. You might not be able to do the biggest things like the 5-week Euro trip. But what you can do is spend that quality time with your kids. You can spend the quality time with your parents. You can spend it with your grandparents if you're lucky enough to still have them. Like, there are so many things that you can do right now that you're postponing till later that might not exist later. Do those things now. 21, plan for seasonality. Okay. It's one thing to know that things will ebb and flow in life and business. It's another thing to actively plan for it. How will you perform? How will your organization perform? How will your company perform under suboptimal conditions? Plan for seasons that are going to be tougher than the season that you're currently in, and have a strategy revolving around what to do in those seasons. And I promise you, your business will be a lot better for it. Lesson number 22. And this is one that I learned from a close mentor and friend of mine. His name is Los. If you wouldn't invite them over to a family barbecue, don't do business with them. If you're not going to invite them around your family, your kids, the people in your personal life who you care about deeply, don't do business with them. It's not a good long-term strategy. And I have a bonus number 23 as we end. Catch yourself when you go into autopilot or zombie mode. When you're just kind of feeling like you're going through the motions of life, when you're just going through, the day-to-day and it kind of just feels mundane, do your best to catch yourself, to pull yourself out of that zombie mode. The more present that we can be in 2023, the better our year is going to be. And I think one of my biggest mistakes in 2022 is the lack of presence that I had in each moment. I regret that and I know that I wasn't as present as I could have been, because a lot of these things that should be fond memories of mine literally aren't memories at all. I forget. And it's because I was so focused about thinking about the future that it robbed me from the present. Be present in everything that you do as much as you can. When you catch yourself going into zombie or autopilot mode, like so many of us do on accident, catch yourself, bring yourself back to the present moment, and understand this is the only time we really ever get to experience and live. So let's just live this moment and enjoy it as best as we can. I love you guys. Thanks for watching. These are 22, really 23 lessons of 2022. I'm excited for more content in the future. Thank you. Like and subscribe. Bye-bye.